Everybody say hello, Lacey. Hello, Lacey. Marcus, you're chicken out.
Even I said it.
Chicken.
Even
Chicken.
I said it. Shame on you.
Chicken. All right. Oh, man. All right. Here we go. So, okay, Lacey, I just told them we are taking notes longhand version today. Woo, like I don't give you anything. But we're doing like basically like kind of a flow chart, right? These last two sections were adding probabilities and multiplying probabilities, right? Now, the reason why I stop and I'm doing this is because I get people that come to the test and they see a problem and it's like, crap, do I add those two fractions together or do I multiply, right? When they're jammed together, it's like, which one do I do? Shoot, okay? This is going to help you figure out which one you're going to do, whether you add the probabilities or whether you multiply them, okay? So I'm going to give you an example. So what I want you to do is you need to hold your paper up and down style, portrait style, right? That's portrait style, okay? All right, and I'm going to give you an example at the top of this page just to show you kind of what I mean by how do you know when to add, when to multiply, okay? And then on the back side, we're going to write the flow chart, okay? So here's an example. Number one, we're going to do a dice. So number one involves a number cube. And I'm going to do like an A, a B, a C, and a D. Okay, A, B, C, D. All right, so the first question I'm going to ask you, you're given a number cube, right? Okay, and I want to know the probability of rolling an even number or a 2. Okay, the probability of rolling an even number or a 2. Okay, in part B, I want to know the probability of rolling a 5 or a multiple of 3. Rolling a 5 or rolling a multiple of 3. Okay, part C. This one is going to be the probability of rolling an even number and then a 2. And this one is going to be the probability of rolling a 5 and then a multiple of 3. Oh boy, when I put all those in front of you, it's a little bit more confusing now, right? You add, you multiply, what do you do? I don't know. Right? Okay, Jason's already kind of trying to figure it out, but he said the first one down. Right? We're going to learn some rules for this. Okay, are we doing all right? Okay, so you know that the A kind of goes with C. They're dealing with the same things, but there are different words in each one, and one of them is add, one of them is multiply. Same thing with B and D, right? One of them is add, one of them is multiply, but which one is which? That's the hard part, okay? So, we're going to go over to this side, and I want you to hold your paper the long way, okay? The long way. So this is going to be landscape version, all right? And I am going to split it right down the middle. Here we're going to adding probabilities. Okay, adding probabilities. Here we are going to multiply probabilities. Adding, multiplying. Okay, try to keep your paper a little bit organized. Have some good handwriting, Marcus, so that you can actually read this again. What? Too late? Jason's already done for. Okay, now here is the key. Here is the key. This is how you know. When you are adding probabilities together, you are only doing one thing. So what I mean by that is you are drawing one card. You are rolling one dice. You are picking one person. Okay? You are only doing one thing. You are only doing one thing. But within that one thing, you have two categories. You have this or that. Something or something. So this would be like girl or basketball player, right? Girl or basketball player. All right? Now, I'm going to skip over to multiplying and then we'll come back to adding and I'll give you some examples. Multiplying is when you are doing more than one thing. Right? You are drawing two cards. You are picking 3 socks. You are rolling 4 dice. I don't know. So you are doing more than one thing. You're drawing 2 cards instead of just one. You're selecting 2 people rather than just one. Okay? And so on here, you are going to find this and this. So maybe I want a heart and then a jack. Maybe that's what I want, a heart and a jack. Yeah? Okay? Now, what words do you see for add and multiply? Or and that's the key word right there. If it's an or, I'm saying I am only picking one person and I want to know whether they are a girl or a basketball player. But there's only one person there, right? If I'm saying I'm multiplying the probabilities, I want to know I'm picking 2 things. I'm picking 2 cards and I want a heart the first time and a jack the second time. I'm picking 2 cards, right? 2 cards. Okay, so on the front side, here we go. With our number cube, here's our determining things. Okay, with our number cube, probability of rolling an even number or a 2. Okay, there's that key word or. So circle the word or. Okay. Now let's decide if I want an even number or a 2. How many dice am I rolling?
1.
I'm only rolling 1 dice. 1 dice, 1 thing. Okay, I'm only rolling 1 dice. Okay. Now let's look at B. Probability of rolling a 5 or a multiple of 3. There's that word again, or. If I want a 5 or a multiple of 3, how many dice am I rolling?
1.
Still only 1, but I'm 2 categories. I want it to either be a 5 or a multiple of 3, yeah? So still only doing 1 thing. Okay, now over here in part C, I'm using the same scenario, an even number and a 2, but then I'm doing an even number and then a 2. So how many dice am I rolling?
2.
I'm rolling it twice, right? The first time I want an even number, and the second time I want 2. Yes? Does that make sense? Okay? First time I want an even number, second time I want a 2. So there are 2 things. I'm doing it twice. 2 things. Okay? Same thing with, circle the word and, by the way. And tells you that there's 2. All right, letter D, probability of rolling a 5 and then a 3. A multiple of 3. How many dice am I rolling? 2. Okay? 5 and then a multiple of 3. And, so 2 things. Okay? So over here, these guys, you are going to multiply them. These guys, you are going to add them. So if you're doing 1, you're adding them together. If you're doing 2 things or more things, you're just taking those probabilities and you're going to multiply. Okay, so let's fill this out. Let's do these problems. And then we'll go to the back side and we'll add a few more things. Because we've got to talk about the mutually exclusive and inclusive stuff. Right? We've got to talk about the dependent versus independent stuff. So we'll go to that. Okay, so let's do these problems. Probability of rolling an even number. So we're rolling a dice. What's my chances of rolling an even number? Here's my 2 fractions I've got set up. Can you see that very well? Can you see that green? Yeah, okay. Probability of rolling an even number. What are my chances of rolling an even number? 3 out of 6, right? Okay, 3 over 6. Or a 2. 1 over 6, right? Now, this is the hard part because even numbers, there's 3 of them. Twos, there's 1 of them. But if I look at my bubbles, here's even, here's twos. Even, there's 3 of them. 2, there's 1 of them. But is 2 also an even number? Yes. So this is the hard part, right? I need to subtract my 1 that is both of them, right? So is this inclusive or exclusive? Inclusive. So I'm going to put inclusive here. I-N-C-L-U-S-I-V-E. Inclusive. Okay? All right, so that's the weird part. So what are my chances of rolling an even number or a 2? 3 over 6 or 1/2. I'm running out of room. 3 over 6 or 1/2. That's the answer to part A. Okay? Part B, the probability of rolling a 5 or a multiple of 3. So let's do this. 5 multiple of 3. Okay? Since this is or, I'm going to add them. All right? Probability of rolling a 5. 1 out of 6. The probability of rolling a multiple of 3. Do you know what I mean by multiples of 3?
Yeah.
3, 6, 3, 6, 9, 12, blah, 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 blah. Those are factors of 3. 1 and 3 are factors of 3. Multiples of 3 would be 3, 6, 9, blah, 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 blah. So which ones are multiples of 3 that live on a dice? 3 and 6, not 9, right? Although I do have some dice that have 9 sides. You see my dice that have 9 sides? These are like tetrahedrons or whatever, you know. Okay, this is like this one is a 20-sided dice. I have a whatever this thing is, whatever that shape is, 4-sided dice, but it's not it doesn't look like a cube. It's like a triangular pyramid is what it is. So it's got like the 4 sides. Anyway, cool. All right, so we're only talking about 6 sides though. So 3 and 6 are the only ones that are multiples of 3, and that is how many options out of 6? 2 out of 6. Okay. Now, can you be a multiple of 3 and a 5 at the same time? So I'm still going to use the formula, but I'm going to say that there's nothing there, right? Okay. If I do my Venn diagram or my little bubbles, they're not touching each other, which means they are exclusive. Exclusive. Okay. So if I add those together, my chances of rolling a 5 or a multiple of 3 is 3 out of 6 or 1/2. Yeah? Good? Okay, now, over here, in my multiplying events, probability of rolling an even number and then a 2. So let's deal with the first one. An even number. 3 out of 6. And then a multiple of 2. And then a 2, not a multiple of 2, just a 2. Is 1 out of 6, right? But we're doing 2 events. So we're multiplying them together. We're doing 2 events. Multiplying them together, okay? Before we multiply, let's reduce. Let me do that. 3 and 6 can reduce to 1/2. 1/2. Yeah? Okay, and then that becomes, if I multiply those together, 1 over 12, right? Yes? Okay, now, probability of rolling a 5 and then a multiple of 3. So 5 is 1 out of 6. Multiples of 3, we said there was 2 out of 6. We're multiplying those together because we're doing 2 things. We're rolling the dice twice. Okay? So 2 out of 6 is really 1/3, and that becomes 1 over 18 as my answer. Yeah? Okay, so if I jam a whole bunch of problems together and give you some ands and ors, you can kind of sort them out. Yes? Yes? Okay, let's go to the front side again. We're going to get out of here. You're not going to have homework today. Woo-hoo! That's going to be exciting. Okay, maybe I'll put some problems on the front. I don't know. We'll see. You're like, no, please don't. Okay? All right, so now I'm going to give you some examples that are on this kind of flow chart. You've determined whether it's supposed to be adding or multiplying. Look for and or. That will tell you 2 things or 1 thing. All right? Okay, so now within each one of those categories, we have some weird things that are happening. So when we are adding, we have either exclusive or inclusive. Okay, exclusive or inclusive. Exclusive or inclusive. Okay, So, in exclusive, should we do some dice or do you want to do cards? You guys comfortable with your cards or do you want to do dice instead? You'd rather do cards? You don't know your cards? We'll do some dice. Okay, let's do dice. So exclusive, what are some things that exclusively can happen with dice?
Rolling a 1 and rolling a 6.
Rolling a 1 and rolling a 6, sure.
Or 6.
1 or a 6. So, rolling a 1 or a 6. Rolling a 1 or a 6, right? Okay, if I do my little Venn diagrams, I'm gonna make them touch. I'm gonna make them touch. A 1 or a 6. Okay? What are my chances of rolling a 1? 1/6. What are my chances of rolling a 6? 1/6. But there's nothing in the middle because I cannot roll a 1 and a 6 at the same time. Yeah? Okay, so those might as well be bubbles that are not even touching. Yes, that's what makes them exclusive. Okay? So 1/6 plus 1/6, this 2/6, which is 1/3. Okay, now, inclusive means I can do them both at the same time. All right, so we are going to roll.
Odd.
Sure, we'll do rolling an odd or a 3. Sure, rolling an odd or rolling a 3. So let's do our little bubbles. These are going to be odds. These are going to be 3s. How many times can I roll an odd on a dice? 3 times, because there's 3 numbers that are odd. 1, 3, 5. Not 7, because 7 is not on the dice, right? So there are 3 numbers that are odd. How many numbers are 3s on a dice? There's only one side that's a 3. And how many live in both? One lives in both, right? Okay. So my chances of rolling an odd are 3/6. My chances of rolling a 3 is 1 out of 6. But that 3 is counted in both categories, so I have to subtract that 1 that's in the middle, right? Okay, and so that would be 3/6 or 1/2. Okay, so after you've identified that it's an or statement, that you're only doing one thing, that you're adding the probabilities together, you have to decide whether it's inclusive or exclusive. Okay, what I would do every single time, whether it's inclusive or exclusive, draw your bubbles. The worst case scenario is that you have to shade this in the middle and it's actually exclusive and your bubble shouldn't be touched. That's fine. I would draw a bubble every time you're doing an adding. An or statement. Yes? Okay? For and statements over here. And statements. There are 2 things that you have to worry about. We'll do independent first. Okay? Independent is like the equivalent of exclusive for adding, right? Independent is kind of like saying exclusive-ish, okay? Dependent is kind of like saying inclusive. Okay, what did you normally see when you were doing independent and dependent? What were those things that would make something depend on another one?
Like you want to take them away.
And what were the key words that you were looking for? Replace and not replace. So independent, you are replacing. I'm going to put yes, replace. Dependent was no replace. So when dependent happens, I'm going to have to do some funky, weird things, okay? Okay, so we can't use a dice on this, right? Because you can't, not replace a side on a dice. That doesn't work, right? Okay, so, oh my gosh, we gotta go fast. Okay, independence. Let's do cards. Let's do cards. Independence. I'm going to do a heart and then a 5. A heart and then a 5. Heart and then a 5. Okay? And I am yes replacing. Okay, down below I'm going to do a heart and then a 5, no replace. Okay, heart and then a 5. So what are my chances of drawing a heart? How many hearts are there? What? 13 out of 52. Marcus, if you want to go ahead and put 1/4, that's fine. We're going to reduce here in just a second. Okay? All right, now I'm putting it back. After I draw my heart, I'm putting it back. And then a 5. 25, so 4 out of 52. 4 out of 52. Now, we're multiplying. Why are we multiplying? Because it's and we're doing two things. Okay, so 13 out of 52 is 1/4. 4 out of 52 is 1/13. If we multiply those together, 1 is the top number. 4 times 13 is 52. Right? Yes? 52. There we go. Okay? All right, heart. And then a 5. But we're not replacing this time. So we're still multiplying because we're doing two things. Heart was 13 out of 52. 5. 4 out of 51. Okay? So 13 out of 52 is still 1/4. 4 and 51. Will those cross out? No, but there's one more thing you can cross out. The 4s, right? You can cancel top and bottom or crossing each other, right? The 4s will cancel. So this guy will cross out with that one. 1 and 1. So he becomes 1/51. Okay? Does that make sense? So this is like your little flow chart that helps you. And an or, doing two things, one thing. Yes, sir?
So like, when they draw a heart,
We're assuming that it's not the 5 of hearts, okay? I will never do that to you. That was a bad example. I was hoping nobody saw that, but you did. But that's awesome that you did. We're just going to assume it wasn't the 5 of hearts, okay? All right. I won't ever give that to you where that's a question again, but yes. So if that was the 5 of hearts, that would be like really complicated and we could never do that. So that would change things a lot. Okay.
Good one.
Sorry I talk a lot, but no homework, right, Clayton? Woo-hoo! Okay. Oh, shoot. Everybody say bye, Lacey.
Bye, Lacey.
There's a little bit more. We're getting better, Lacey. Sorry. We are getting better.
Actually said.